What's up, everybody? Well, I got another Asus Ally gameplay video for you guys today. And today, we are going to try out the Starfield FSR3 and frame gen update. Figuring why not? Let's see how it runs. I know we've done a lot of Starfield on both the Steam Deck, this, and all the systems, but when they add a big update like this, you know, I gotta give it a shot. And I still have to try my main computer out. I think they added a real DLSS update, so I'd like to try that out too. I don't know if it includes frame gen. That might just be for AMD CPUs, or GPUs, I'm not sure. I'll have to go try it out, and that's why I make the videos. Because see, even sometimes while making the videos, I learn something. But in any case, we're gonna just, like I said, try out FSR3. I'm just gonna try and go in there and try it out on, you know, baseline of 1080p, 900p, and 720p. And then of course, we'll do frame gen as well. And then I'll just decide what runs best, and then we'll use that as the camera recorded portion of the video. So now that we got all that out of the way, we got done with this intro a lot quicker than on the Steam Deck. So now, let's go hook it up to the capture computer, and let's go get started.
So here's the settings we're going to use for 1080p. It's not going to be a constant 30, but it was the best I could do without dropping everything just to medium, which is what I usually do at 900p. I tried to make it how someone who cared about graphics would play. That's what I tried to do anyway, but obviously everyone's different, so can't please everybody, but hey. Anyhow, let's go hop into the game, see how it plays. So here we are in town, and as you can plainly see, we're not at no 30 FPS. But it definitely looks a lot better than the Steam Deck did, seeing as though we're not at all that low at 50% resolution, well, 50% at 720p. We're at 75% at 1080p in this case. Testing out the FSR3, and then we'll try frame gen after this. Here we go, that's much better. Had to take a little drink there. Throat is a little hoarse. But that's because I kind of yelled at somebody while I took a drive today. I don't usually road rage, but I can't help it when somebody basically cuts you off, almost crashes into your car that you really like, and then flick you off and act like you did something, and then throw stuff at your car. It's like, nope. Luckily, it wasn't the Raptor, it was the Lincoln, but still, I like the Lincoln. I don't want it dented up or anything, or crashed into, for that matter. But I didn't even yell at them with the window down or anything. I was just shouting at the whole situation in my car. Last thing I want to do is get confrontational with people nowadays. You even look at somebody while you're driving, and they might just pull out a gun and shoot you. But this is still not too bad. At least it's not super frame dropping. Well, alright. This did a lot better than the Steam Deck did. We didn't drop a bunch of frames. Still wasn't constant 30 though. Now let's go see what it's like with frame gen on, although this is usually where frame gen fails and doesn't feel any better than what its actual FPS is. So now here's frame gen turned on. And yeah, to me it doesn't really feel that much better than just being at what it was, 25.
I actually met a guy who finished the Red Mile. He lost an eye in the process, but he did walk away with a pile of credits. And I mean, you got 2 eyes, right?
I will say this, at least it's not dropping down into like it doesn't feel like it's dropping down into the teens like the Steam Deck did, or even into the single digits. That happened quite a bit. So at least it doesn't feel like that, but this still does not feel like I'm getting no 40 FPS. At least to me, I don't know, what does it look like to you guys? Maybe it's hard to tell in videos too. But anyway, let's move on. Now I've dropped it down to 900p and put everything to medium for the most part. Wasn't sure if it was going to hit 60 or not, so I still left motion blur on, as a bunch of people suggested, since that's what it's kind of there for, to hide terrible frame rates. And then of course we will do frame gen after this. But now, to the game. Alright, here we go. We're at 900p with more medium-ish settings now. Still doesn't quite stay at 30 FPS. But at least it gets there every once in a while, unlike when we were at just 1080p with a couple things on high. That was mostly like 25, 24. Every once in a blue moon it would hit like 28, 29. But see, it still drops down to 25. But again, the Steam Deck was dropping down into the teens and single digits, so this thing's still doing a little bit better job. And a lot of people consider this completely playable. Now, the Steam Deck would be if it did the same thing and just dropped under 30 down to 25. I'm sure a lot of people would think that, but when you drop down to friggin' 8 or 13, just randomly for like a split second here and there, that's not fun. That doesn't make it fun to play the game, especially in a game that has some first-person shooter aspects to it. So I would say this is the way to play, and a lot of people have told me they just play with this thing plugged in. Me, I like using it as a handheld. I don't really like cords. I'm just scared I'm gonna forget the cords there and like set it down in a weird spot and like break the USB-C port. So far, the only time I've ever broke one though was hanging that DJI camera off my 1.8 Plus. Or not Plus, Pro. Plus is the Apple thing. The only Apple things I got is one Apple TV and I got an iPad, I think 2020, like one of those big ass ones. But anyway, moving on. So here's that same 900p, but same settings, all that. All we're doing is turning frame gen on and seeing what it can do. But I want people to see the settings and everything, just so you guys don't think I'm putting everything down to low and then turning frame gen on just to be like, ah, look at all these frames it's getting now. Kind of nonsense, but we don't do that here anyway. But now, back to the game. There we go, 900p again, but this time with frame gen. So this time it says we're getting 50 to 55 FPS. But we're not really. It's all a lie. But at least this time it kind of feels like it slightly improved things. So that's nice. Still don't feel like no actual 50, 54 FPS, but at least it felt like it got a little bit better. In terms of playability.
Something to report?
Nothing to report. Except for this knife I'm running around with. I still think it's kind of funny no one cares. A lot of games will be like, oh my god, put that away, you're under arrest, you're going down, dirtbag. Not this one, they don't give a shit. As long as I don't stab anybody with it, that is. I'm sure if I started stabbing random cops and civilians, they'd probably start trying to kill me. In fact, I know that, because I accidentally did that a few times on occasion, and yes, that happened every time. It's not my fault sometimes the civilians get in your way where people are trying to shoot you. They're lucky I didn't grab them and use them as a helium shield. Anyway, though, I think that's good. Let's now move on. Well, now it's the time for the 720p. And I think it put it all the way down to like 50% render, 59% render scale. Okay, just want to make sure. And of course, we will do frame gen after this, but I want to see what it can do just, you know, not native res, obviously, but just FSR3. but let's go see how it do. So now here we go with 720p. This is just FSR3, 59% render scale. And definitely the most playable like this without, frame gen and all that. You could play like this and it's not going to drop into the 20s anywhere I've seen anyway. No, I didn't keep like a eye on it the entire time I was walking around. Obviously I gotta watch where I'm going, but I didn't notice any drops to 20s or in the teens or anything like that. And this is similar to what it was doing on the Steam Deck, so I think settings wise.
Used to be an actuary. Well,
Alright, I think that's probably good. Now let's go turn on the frame gen. Alright, now we're gonna just do the same exact settings as before, but this time we're turning on frame gen. There you go, as you can see, frame gen is on. And with that, let's go see how it does. Well, now here we go. 720p with frame gen and FSR both on at the same time. I think you pretty much have to have it that way on AMD. I don't think you can do one or the other. I could be wrong on that. And as you can see, it says we're getting like 70 FPS. And at least this time it kind of feels like it helps a little bit. But again, since we weren't getting a constant 60, it's not a flawless fix. But at least the closer you get, the better it feels. That's why you see me constantly like moving side to side trying to gauge how it feels like. Though it's a little bit weird when you're kind of like gauging it through a OBS window, through OBS, which it tells you not to do. We'll get a better look once I change over to camera. Oop, got caught up there for a second. Alright, moving on. Alright, now for some camera recording gameplay. And this is 720p with frame gen on. I just figured screw it, I'll just show you guys what it's like camera recording with frame gen on. And it doesn't really hurt anything by having it on. And I mean, you guys can see the amount of input lag it has right there live if I stop moving.
I think I got them. What do you call them? Corns?
So it's not like super bad, it's like a millisecond or two of lag, input lag it feels like. And then we've got that nice FreeSync screen helping us out too. So yeah, this is definitely a much better way to play Starfield than on the Steam Deck, not gonna lie. Now it still has some frame drops, as you can see on that frame drop bar, so it's not like it's a perfectly flat line or nothing. So it still is definitely stuttering like crazy, but doesn't look too unsmooth to me. But I can definitely tell a stutter here and there. But what I perceive is nowhere near as bad as what that frame graph bar thing is perceiving. I could definitely play Starfield like this, no problem. Oh, I hurt myself. I don't know what the hell the jetpack button is on controller. I play this game with keyboard and mouse. On my main computer, of course.
Keep your nose clean. The last thing I want is...
We need to be smarter, better in the way.
Well, hopefully I have enough battery to make it through around 5 minutes of footage here. We're already down to 26% here. Again, one of the... Well, I was about to call it a minor issue, but it's a pretty big issue. Battery life's not the best on this thing. At least not when you want to use its power. If you want to limit it to 15, it's not the worst. You get like a little over an hour of gameplay in most games. And in fact, in some games it can even beat the original Steam Deck at 15 watts battery life, but then it barely is any faster, and sometimes even worse, especially in the 1% lows and whatnot. The Steam Deck is actually really good at those. I think it has something to do with its quad channel memory, to be honest, but that is just what I think. I have no basis for it other than it just seems plausible, having a bunch more bandwidth from your memory when you're using an APU. Seems like it would net you better lows. So that's just what I'm basing that off of. Yeah, no, such a little screen. It doesn't even look that bad with everything on low, since the game's not exactly a super looker to begin with. Alright, screw it. Why don't we go outside for a little bit, too? We barely did that at all this video. I think I stepped outside for like 2 seconds on one of the earlier portions of the beginning of the video, but now we can go outside here and see what it's like, too. I think, you get a lot more FPS usually out here than you do in the cities. Generally! I'm sure there's exceptions to the rule, depending on what planet you're on. There's a pretty big perceivable stutter right there, that's for sure. Another big old stutter. Leave that thing alone. All I got's a knife. I think it'll probably rock me. Almost everything does. Trying to go melee in this game is an awful idea. Oh. And now we've dropped down to 19%, right around the 5-minute mark. Also drops our brightness and everything, just obviously the way I have it set up to save a little battery and get you plugged in, but definitely gets us a little less performance too, so since we got our 5 minutes, let's go ahead and wrap the video on up.
Well, alright guys, that's a wrap for Starfield on the Asus Ally here. Almost called it the G15 Advantage. Nope, that's a laptop. Got too many damn electronics here. First world problems, am I right? But anyway, we're all done with the Ally now. It was actually pretty decent on everything besides 1080p with a couple things on high. That wasn't the most playable settings. That was under 30 most of the time. So I wouldn't consider that one very playable, but some people would. That's why I still do that one. 1080p mode is usually just for graphics, not for frame rate or anything else, because most people that want to run that only care about how it looks. They're not that concerned with the frame rate. And then medium, I usually do medium 900p because I feel like that's a good middle of the road. And then 720p is all about that frame rate. Anybody who's willing to put it all the way down to 720p cares most about frame rate more than anything. So that's the way I decided to do it too, because I figured, hey, it's Starfield, why not? Let's get the most FPS we can get and show off frame gen on this thing, which seemed like it helped a little since we were actually pretty close to 60 when we were at 720p with everything on low. So when you do that, it actually helps and feels nice. But when you're at 25, as you saw earlier, it does not look so nice. It does not help. It feels just like I'm playing at 25 FPS. That's the best way I can describe it. Versus that actually felt like I was playing closer to 80. Not quite, but at least it felt a little better. But again, that's only because we were already close to the 60. Further away from 60 you get, the less effect FrameGen is going to have, other than giving you a fancy number that makes you have a placebo of, oh, I'm getting better FPS, F yeah. No, not to the feels anyway. At least not to mine. I can only speak for myself after all. But in any case, that is all I got for you guys for this particular video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, because I sure as hell enjoyed making it for you guys. And until the next video, peace out, guys.